If the concept of networking makes you feel insecure, makes you feel icky, makes you feel desperate, makes you feel bothersome, then today's episode of the Empowered Actors podcast is going to transform that for you into something that feels calm, that feels grounded, that feels empowering. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the Empowered Actors podcast. I am your host, Adele James. And this is how you build a successful acting career that lasts decades, not just until you book your next job. Welcome back. This is season 1, episode 4 of the Empowered Actors podcast, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about what I think has been quite unfairly brandished amongst actors as a dirty word. And that dirty word is networking. And of course, it's not a dirty word, right? But it's just that we have internalized it as something that feels icky, something that feels yucky, something that feels hard, something that feels like it's an affirmation or an assurance of the fact that we're actually not blank enough. There's something wrong with us, or it's a reason why we're not going to be as successful as we hope that we will be. So today's episode is all about how do we reframe, rethink all of that, and take action from a new perspective, from a new way of thinking about it. And of course, the first place that we must start is talking about why it feels so bad in the first place. So here's my list of reasons why I think people feel like shite about networking. And this is from having felt like crap about it myself in a past life, and also from working with now hundreds and speaking to thousands of actors about this very subject. So we have, it feels like you're asking for a favor. It feels like you're maybe begging. That's a word that's been used so many times. Begging for a job, begging for attention, begging to be recognized, begging for validation, right? We have that it feels like self-promotion, and we don't like to sell ourselves. We don't really like to talk about ourselves at all, especially if you're a Brit. It just doesn't come naturally to us, right? We're not taught how to do it effectively anyway. Or it feels vain. It feels vain. It feels like we must think so much of ourselves, like we must think too much of ourselves, and we don't want to be seen as too big for our boots. And the other big one, of course, is that we feel inferior. We feel like we don't deserve, we don't belong in the inboxes even of people who we perceive to be doing better than us, who we are excited by and want to work with. So these are the big things that I've observed in myself and in others over the years. And the big issue really, I think, the biggest issue really, I think, is that the reason it feels quite so shite is because we feel powerless. We feel powerless when we deserve to feel powerful. We deserve to feel worthy. We deserve to feel deserving, but we don't. We feel powerless. We feel at the behest of the gatekeepers. We feel like we are waiting to be chosen. We feel like decisions are made on our behalf without our input, right? And all of that contributes to a feeling that then when you're speaking to people, you're asking for permission. You're asking for permission to be a part of the industry, to be included, to be considered, to be chosen. So if that is why it feels so rubbish, then I guess what we need to talk about is, what is the reality, right? Because our emotions are helpful information. They guide us in certain directions to look at certain things, but they're not fact, right? They're not the ultimate truth about us, about the industry, about casting directors or producers or anybody else. They are literally just transient feelings. So what is the reality? The reality is, hi, my love, super quick cutaway. I just wanted to remind you, in case you haven't already, to please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you get your podcast, just because 1, I don't want you to miss a beat, and 2, it really helps us to get further reach so that more actors know that there is help out there, so that I can help support more actors. I would be so grateful for your help on this mission. And if you feel so inclined, why not give us a cheeky rating too? We'd love 5 stars, but whatever you feel is right is good too. Mwah! Thank you so much. Shall we get back into the episode? Let's go. The reality is that agents, casting directors, writers, producers, directors, anybody else in this industry is not a gatekeeper. Everybody in this industry is a collaborator. They are people you get to collaborate with. And those collaborations may take different forms over the years, the decades of your career, but nonetheless, they are collaborators. They sit in different seats, but the work cannot exist without all of its parts. It is a sum of all of its parts. And I think when we treat people as collaborators, and remember, these are human beings we're talking about here, right? But when we treat people as collaborators and not as gatekeepers, we actually strip away some of the power and a lot of the shame and the inferiority complex that comes with what usually feels quite icky and difficult and stagnant and like I don't want to step on anybody's toes or take up too much space when it comes to networking. Certainly for me, I know that it really reduced and continues to reduce the friction that I feel around wanting to be known and putting myself in positions of visibility where I get to be known by people, where people get the opportunity to know me, to know what I can do, to hire me again and again and again, to call me into rooms again and again and again, right? That's a very different way of looking at it than, gosh, I hope this person pays attention to me so I can feel like I mean something. That is not, my love, the vibe. And having said all of that, I think it's really important to remember that this industry is really just made up of its people. It's the sum of all of its people, and those people are in relationship with each other. Sometimes those relationships are close. Sometimes those relationships are more distant. Sometimes the relationship hasn't yet had a chance to form. But how do we create a relationship, right? It's always the same thing, whether we're talking about the industry, family members, whether we're talking about friends, whether we're talking about your romantic partner. It really doesn't make any difference. Your colleagues. It's all the same thing. Strangers meet, they are no longer strangers. Then they meet again and again and again and again. Now they have a relationship that has deepened. And all of this happens over time. I think where we trip up a lot is we have this expectation that things should happen instantly. Well, I sent the email and I didn't get, one, a response, and two, an audition off of the back of that led into a job. So I'm doing it wrong. No. Your job here is not to use people to get work. It is to meet people, to build relationships with people, to continuously raise your hand and say, hi, I'm here. This is what I can do. And then to sit back and leave room for collaborations to flower, to blossom, to appear, to present themselves, at which point you seize those opportunities with everything you've got, right? Also, I want to just remind everybody that this is a professional expectation. In any industry, networking to some degree is a professional expectation, but in an industry where, the entire industry relies on relationships, it is really important to remember that no one's going to think that you're annoying because you're reaching out to let them know that you exist and or that you like their work and or to congratulate them and or for whatever reason, right? People expect to be spoken to by other people. They expect to meet new people. They expect to collaborate with different people and sometimes the same people. People do like to work with who they like, but what's to say that they're not going to like and or love you? And therefore want to work with you again and again and again and again too. This is something you get to have as well. But in order for you to have it, you need to work on everything that's telling you that you can't. You need to dispel all of those ideas that say you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to be in so-and-so's space because X has done this. They are better than you, they are too busy for you, whatever. Like, other people get to decide whether or not they respond to you. Other people get to decide whether or not they collaborate with you. That doesn't mean that it's not still your job to raise your hand, right? And so I hope I've given you enough preliminary evidence as to why we can strip networking of its status as a dirty word and why actually it's just a thing that we all get to do, right? As part of a collaborative industry full of amazing human beings, actually. So we have hopefully dispelled the idea that networking sucks. And I want to, within that, kind of talk a bit about like how you might go about networking and what you might say to people. The big thing that I really want to land on today is I think where a lot of people are letting themselves down is that they treat their near misses like there's something to be ashamed of, like there's something to hide, like there's something that they don't get to acknowledge in a positive way. And this obviously starts long before you ever open up Gmail or Outlook or however you send your messages to the humans. This starts with how you talk to yourself about your own near misses. So what do I mean by near miss? I mean, you have an audition for someone you've always wanted to audition for and it doesn't go past self-tape or it doesn't go past recall, right? You don't book the job, or you put yourself out there for something and it didn't materialize in the way that you had maybe hoped. Not the end of the world. Or you made something and it didn't get picked up for a TV show, or it didn't get produced a second or third time around, but you did do it in the first place, right? These are things that we discredit as not good enough because we have decided that the metric of success is I booked the job and nothing else. And then I think what we're really missing is a golden opportunity to use that as fodder to talk to people. I think a lot of people feel, and you may well resonate with this, that actually they don't have anything that they can say. There's no point in talking to people because I've got nothing new to say. And it's funny because I think about a lot of the jobs that I have had in my career and how many of them came after a rejection. I just did the comedy about spies on the West End in the summer of 2025. Well, we did it for about 5-6 months. So that was a job that I did for quite a while. The year before, in September, October of 2024, I also did the workshop for that. So at the time when I booked the job, it was just for the workshop. It was a 6-week workshop. And actually the role was not promised to me. But when I booked the audition for the workshop, I was like, great, I've got 6 weeks to go in, basically do a full rehearsal period and not have a run of the show. They didn't even have a theatre at that point. 2 weeks into our workshop, they secured the Noel Coward. Again, I did not have the role. It was already promised to someone else. I was just helping to workshop it. So I left that workshop without the job, without the Noel Coward, without the West End run, without the West End debut, originating this show with Mischief. Anyway, a week or two later, I get a call from Kenny Wax, the producer, to say, there's been a bit of movement. Somebody from the workshop is not continuing on, so somebody else is moving over into a different role, only if you would like to continue and reprise the work that you did on playing Rosemary in the workshop. So that meant that I got to have my Mischief debut on stage, I got to have my West End debut on stage, and I got to go back and finish what I started workshopping the role back in 2024 throughout 2025 on stage in front of 2,000 people every single show. Now it's just been announced that we are coming back to do Comedy About Spies again this summer, summer of 2026, for 2 months, so for 8 weeks, at the Adelphi, which is super exciting. This is the second West End theatre I will ever have worked in. This is the second run of the same show that I'm doing with Mischief, but which I helped to originate and helped to workshop. It's 2 out of 2 times that I will ever have worked on the West End, even though it's now with the same company. So bizarre. And it's a shorter run and a different theatre. It's just absolutely, it's weird, wonderful, and magic in so many ways. And the thing that's really interesting about all of it is that in 2023, I had my first audition for Mischief. It was to play Sandra. I would have been auditioning at that time for the 10th cast of Play That Goes Wrong on the West End. So Play That Goes Wrong has been on the West End now for over 10 years. And I was auditioning to be part of the 10th cast. Obviously, this is a big, big, big deal, right? And lo and behold, I actually did get a recall, but I did not book the role. And I was crushed. I was crushed because I thought what they were saying was, you're not funny enough, you're not good enough for our kind of comedy. And of course, like, all of that was in my head and just a projection of how I felt about myself in relation to comedy. But, there was a near miss that I had to really work on to be able to get to where I am today, which is now having workshopped an original Mischief show, debuted that show on the West End, and reprising that show on the West End the year after. Whereas I could have been in another life, perhaps, the 10th cast of a show they've already had on the West End for 10 years. One is not better, one is not worse. But isn't it funny how things work out? Be very careful about how you talk about your near misses, because they're all just stepping stones. They are all, I think, networking opportunities. They are all of my auditions I treat like a networking opportunity. Here I am meeting somebody in order to show them what I can do, and whatever happens here and now happens here and now, and what happens down the line happens down the line. It's this or something better. Okay, that was a big tangent. But I do actually talk a lot more about the kind of behind the scenes of being a part of the Comedy About Spies, about my Cinderella story as it pertains to having auditioned for other shows for them and then finally getting to originate a show a few years later. I talk about all of that in much more detail in the outtakes with some really tangible lessons for you to take away. If you need a reminder, the outtakes is my membership. It's an audio drop membership, so you get audio drops every single week throughout this season of the Empowered Actors podcast. So that's like a private membership away from here, but also between seasons of this public facing podcast as well. And it differs from the Empowered Actors podcast in the sense that is really me taking you behind the scenes of my life, my journey as an actor at where I am today, helping you to kind of understand how I navigate the industry, how I think about things, how I strategize, how I work with my agent, how I make decisions about jobs, how I deal with work gaps, all of that good stuff. It's all in the outtakes. So yes, I talk about the Comedy About Spies, about Mischief, about all that good stuff. I talk about rejection. I talk about all kinds of things to help you navigate your way through the industry as well. And if you would like to be a part of that, if you would like to receive those audio drops, if you'd like to be part of the membership, you can sign up at the link below. But I want to get back to what we're talking about today. I'm just going to be really real with you. Nobody understands the reality of a working actor's life more than another person who inhabits the same industry, even if it's in a different seat. Directors understand, because they go through the casting process. Casting directors understand because they're always talking to actors. They're always bringing actors in. They're always bringing the same actors in again and again that they really like, that they want to help get a role, even if they haven't managed to find a fit for them yet. Agents understand. Everybody understands what you're up against. Also because everybody else is equally in a gigging economy. Not every director gets every job that they want, right? Not every writer gets every piece of their work commissioned or produced. It happens to all of us all the time. We're all bidding for work. We're all bidding for opportunity. We're all bidding to be seen and validated on some level. So they get it. Let's not pretend like the very same people who inhabit the industry that you belong to don't get it just because they're not sitting exactly where you're sitting. Yeah, they won't get the whole picture. Yeah, they won't get the ins and outs of it on a kind of daily basis. But no one's going to judge you for saying, I got really far in this audition process and I didn't get the job in the end, but I learned so much about myself, or I really enjoyed the process, or it was so great to be seen in this role, which I haven't had the chance to be seen as before, and I definitely know I can do. Here's an example of me doing it from a self-tape that I recorded independently. There are so many ways that you can get the word out that you're active. There are so many ways that you can talk about what you can do, what you want to do, and how you want to do it. There are so many ways you can be in communication with people that do not hinge on you having just booked or worked in anything at all. At all. And might I add, one of my favorite things to remind people of is that people love to discover people. Everybody wants to be the person who discovered so-and-so, who discovered so-and-so, the next big thing, right? And that doesn't mean that you have to be young or new to the industry necessarily, but miracles, overnight successes are happening every single day. If you can't see me right now, I'm doing major quotation marks. These things are happening every day, and everybody loves to be associated with having discovered the next big thing, the next talent that goes on to be plastered all over everything and everywhere. So please just keep raising your hand. Please just remember that you don't need to prove to anybody that you deserve to be in their space. And that ultimately it's up to them how they respond and if they respond, but it's your job. It's your job. It's your job. It's your job to raise your hand. I want to give you very clearly your new networking mindset. Number one, you, my love, belong in the conversation. You belong in the conversation. You deserve to be a part of the conversation. You are the conversation. Number two, networking is a professional expectation. It is what is expected of the human beings who make up the entertainment industry in order to build relationships, to connect, and to collaborate. And number three is that those relationships will build over time. Take the pressure off of yourself. Stop expecting people to behave the way you want them to behave, and trust that what you're doing is enough, that what you're doing is great, that you raising your hand is adding up to something. It is all compounding to something and somewhere massive and significant and magical. And so your action plan today is super duper simple. I want you to send one email. Today or this week, please send one email to someone you already know. So somebody you maybe haven't spoken to in a few years, somebody you haven't spoken to in a few weeks. It doesn't matter how long the time has been. Just reach out and raise your hand. Say hello. Ask them how they've been. Tell them how you've been. Tell them what's been going on for you. Just give them 1 to 2 kind of key headlines from however long it's been since you've spoken last. And if you haven't spoken to this person in a couple of years, please do not give them your life story. Just give them 1 to 2 things. What are the highlights? What do you want them to know? How did you connect, and how do you want to connect with them? And you can congratulate them. You can really do anything you want with this email, but just raise your hand. Say hello, give them a little wave, get in touch. And that's it, my love. That's everything I have for you today on networking. I hope today has been helpful, and I really just want you to remember that you do not need to ask for permission to be included in something that you are already a part of. You are already a part of this industry. Every day you get up and you choose to be an actor and to do any small thing towards your acting career, you are part of this industry. Same as me, same as them, same as everybody. Okay? So stop asking for permission to be invited in. You're already in. This is it. I hate to break it to you, but this is it. It doesn't get much more sensational than this, really. You're already here. You've arrived. So start acting like it. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, we do also have the Outtakes, which is a BTS-style audio drop membership where you get to follow me around in my day-to-day and week-to-week life, talking about how I navigate this industry, how I navigate my own career, from the perspective of being in my career with me, in the weeds of the gaps between works, of being on jobs, of navigating conversations and logistical things with my agent, of taking time off, of all of the things. So if that sounds like something that would really support you and would really help you, I would love to have you in the membership. It is just £39 a month to join, and it is such high value for the investment that you make. I love sharing these outtakes with you. I love the insights that come from just these little moments in my career, as I say, on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. And the feedback so far has been absolutely gorgeous. So please, 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 please do get involved. Please do join the conversation. We have private areas where you can leave comments and we can talk about what comes up for you off the back of each audio drop. It's really, really cute. It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe. And the link to join is just below this video or this audio, wherever you are listening to this podcast. All right, my love, that's everything. I've enjoyed our time together immensely, as always, and I very much look forward to spending more time together this time next week. Please, please, please take the best care of yourself between now and then. Don't forget to send your email, and please just know and remember that I am always so deeply and so completely rooting for you. You have got this and I have got you. Mwah. Thank you for spending time with me. See you soon.